Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Thursday. This is the Woo Report. The Woo Report, episode 197, titled Celebrating New Jersey Devils Greatness. I'm your host, Sam Woo, here with a special co-host, also a co-host of the Let's Go Devils podcast, Sunday edition, also a co-host of Hockey on Tap every Mondays on the Primetime Radio Network, as we're streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Primetime Radio Network. Mike Rossi, happy Devils Thursday. The Woo Report with a special guest. Is he talking about Shorts Guy or the cat? I don't know. But today is a special Woo Report. The reason why Shorts Guy is here is, again, we're not here to get into a pissing match. We're not here to criticize. We want to be overly positive and talk about our New Jersey Devils. I think we've got lost in the past 10 years, but 10 years and one day ago, the Devils beat the Rangers in dramatic fashion. And unfortunately, the New Jersey Devils social media staff, content team, forgot to mention about that yesterday. So rather than point fingers, and be bitter about it. By the way, I think Catherine Bogart has been a content machine for them. So kudos to her for covering what's going on the Worlds, the IIHF, and keeping track of all the Devils and all the inside scoop and all that kind of stuff. Just a shout out to her. But other than that, you should be mentioning about this whole Henrique, it's over, because it's never going to be over. And we're going to celebrate NJ Devils' greatness. And maybe this is a new thing that we're going to do, because I think it's been a long time since we've really celebrated anything. But maybe we should go back to our roots before this young Devils team start to blossom and become a powerhouse once again. But so, Shorts Guy, that game, we're going to talk about stories behind the scenes. We're going to talk about Rangers suck confetti. We're going to talk about all that stuff about May 25th, 2012. There are a couple of videos on YouTube that's been out there for the last 9 years surfaced last night. I started posting it.
Oh man, I haven't seen some of those in a while.
Yeah, so why don't you tell me that day? Tell me about that day, May 25th, 2012. What was that like for you?
I'm going to be honest.
In the morning.
I'm going to be honest. I don't remember a lot about the lead up to that day. I do remember. I basically the only thing that comes to my mind that I can remember is going to overtime, and going to overtime.
Well, how'd you get your ticket, by the way? Let's start from there.
Probably,
how'd you get your ticket?
Probably you.
Yeah, probably. I think
probably for. No, I think I had. I know I had tickets all the way through those through the playoffs. So I probably bought them on your account, because I remember having tickets to the finals, and the face value was a ticket to the Stanley Cup Finals that year. Face value, last row in the building, $95. Which to me is wild, and there's no way they would charge that little for Stanley Cup Final right now.
Well, we were in the low income seating section of Prudential Center. The subsidized seating is what I call it, Section 208. Back in its heyday, maybe it will get resurrected one day. I don't know, but
that would be nice.
Remember that I had a connection with the New Jersey Devils ticket people. Now he's no longer employed there. I can spill the beans on it. Remember how secretive it used to be? How we used to get tickets through Frank the Tank.
Yeah, we
Frank
had to
the
like meet
Tank,
him. We had to
Frank
like
from the
meet him in like a
Devils.
corner. We had to like go
Yeah,
meet him in a corner somewhere in the arena,
eh,
and we get
yeah.
those tickets. But yeah,
Remember
he
that one
treated you really
time?
good.
Remember when that one time I came to the Meadowlands with the suitcase full of cash to get the tickets from Frank the
Yes,
Tank,
yes,
and it was the most
yes.
shadiest thing. Going to the Gold Circle member lounge, and Frank's like, "Sam, what's in the case?" I said, "Nothing, because if I'm going to get robbed here, because I'm carrying all this cash with me, it's actually in my pocket. But if they're going to take something, they're going to take the case, and they're going to realize there's nothing in it." And Frank would vouch for that story. Is
Yeah.
I had an empty case, and then I used it to put the tickets in, and all that. That was at the old Meadowlands. So yeah, so we
Oh
got all
man.
we were prepared for the series in case they went
Mm-hmm.
far, because after being the Flyers, then it was Devils Rangers, and it was that this was coming off of the whole thing a couple of years back, the the Avery rule,
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Gomez and Drury, they're signing,
Mm-hmm.
Gomez jumping ship when the commercial said, "I'll see you in Newark," and no, he didn't. You know, um,
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of yeah, it was definitely uh, it was a fun time to be a Devils fan. It feels like that was sadly it feels like that was the last time it was fun. With the exception
yeah.
of the season we made it to the playoffs in 16. I feel like that was the last time it was absolutely, like, cuz we had such a routine that entire
Oh yeah.
playoff series where we would go out to that hole in the wall Chinese place right
No, it's
outside the
Japanese.
arena.
Oh
It was a
no, you're talking
Japanese
about the
place?
Chinese restaurant? No, no, it was Chinese.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about what's at the train station, but yeah, there was
No,
what
no,
was it
no.
called? Was it called the
I
Great
don't know
Wall
what it was called,
Restaurant?
but it looked like it was falling apart, and we just happened to start going there in that playoff run. And after every game, we went there, we ordered a bunch of stuff, we took up all their tables,
Crab
and we just sat and
ragoon,
had yeah, we just sat and had post-game Chinese food, which was a great
crab
tradition.
ragoon, and grape soda after a Devils victory. Let me tell you, that was
We
some good times
we
there.
did it
But
after every game.
and the shenanigans. Remember, like the shenanigans we used to do in the parking lot, because traffic would be stopped.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we start directing traffic in the middle of Mulberry Street.
Yep.
Those are some good times. High fiving fans. They roll
Oh
down their
yeah,
window.
no,
Yeah, Devils. All
yeah,
that
we
kind
had
of
a real
stuff.
good time. Yeah, we had a real
Yeah,
good time.
back in those days. Wow, and that was 10 years
Oh my
ago.
gosh.
And but that
It's wild.
Devils
It's wild to
Rangers.
think.
Yeah,
It's wild to think that that was 10 years ago, because that was just such a pivotal that was a pivotal moment in Devils history, because it got rid of that, uh, which is kind of ironic because that was the last, great thing that the team really did for, since then. But that got rid of that whole, you know, guarantee, the whole Messier thing, the '94 Eastern Conference Finals. It felt like all those demons were just lifted,
yeah,
and we were and it was just like a weight was off of all of our shoulders. At least that's what I know I felt like, and I'm almost positive you felt like. Like finally that whole Mateau crap that both you and I had gotten
the
teased
guarantee.
with, in middle school and high school. That all we heard was Mateau, Mateau,
And
and then
even
here
through
we have.
adulthood.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Um, because that was '94 was the last great thing the Rangers fans had on us. Because that was the last thing that they did that was actually good, and then they make it to the finals a year after us and lost, which was great. Um,
Yeah,
but having our own, classic call on an overtime goal was just like the icing on the cake. Not only just to beat them, but to have our own, uh, you know, classic, and thank God it was Doc, because he was the best of it. He was the master. Just to have our own classic, phrase that we can use. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and it matched the Mateau. I
Oh
told this
yeah.
story a little bit yesterday on State of the Fan Address with Nick, pucksandpitchforks.com. Got to put that little plug in there. And that was the one game, because I had been texting him for a few weeks. That
Mm-hmm.
was the one game that comedian Jim Brewer went with us, was Game 6
Yeah.
against the Rangers, and we had an extra ticket. I forgot who couldn't go, and I was texting him, and then it turned out that he was scheduled to chaperone his kids to a One Direction concert at
Oh
the
man.
Izod Center, and he the few days leading up to that, because we weren't sure, okay, there's game 2, there's game 3, so you don't really know what the timing is, kind of like
Mm-hmm.
how it's going to be scheduled out. Could the series be ended in 5? Game 6,
Yeah.
we didn't know. And it was literally the day before game 6, Jim texted, "I got out of it. I can go." So he did his show I think he did his Cirrus. Remember when Brewer had his own Cirrus show? I think he did it in
Yeah.
his parents' basement on the other side of town. I think that's where his studio was.
Okay.
Don't ask, but that's where it was. So he did it remotely, and we picked him up. We drove him there. We wined him, dined him, with
Yeah.
the
We had a good
sushi
time.
place. Like we went through the
Bait shop.
whole routine, and then I was. And do you know where we parked?
Probably at that place we used to park.
Yeah, Fred's
Right
lot.
on 21, Fred's lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fred's
Right there on
lot.
21.
Was it 23? 20? No, 20.
No, that's 21. 23's up
Okay.
here. That's 21.
Okay. I'm getting mixed up. Yeah, so on
Yes, you
MacArthur
are.
Highway, there's Fred's lot, and the only reason why we park there is because it's free. So,
Yeah.
and and then we pretend to go into the building like we're gonna go see one of the tenants, and then we just like hightail it out of there, anyway. And then I was showing
Statute of
I was showing
limitations
Brewer
is
the
and
whole
I'm
routine,
frozen.
and then it was just a surreal night. It felt like it was going to be our night.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Sammy, what are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I'm getting ready to pass out some of these things to our mules." He's like, "Mules?" I was like, "Yeah, we pass out Ranger Suck confetti in Ziploc bags because we don't want to get all caught in them. So we're gonna diversify and hand them out to random fans to throw at the games." And then we're just literally passing around Ziploc bags. A couple
Oh,
beach
it's so
balls
much of it.
got in the mix. We're patching out beach
Mm-hmm.
balls, all that kind of stuff going into the arena. And I'll tell you, it was a ruckus crowd that night.
Oh,
You were
yeah, it
sitting on the
was.
top row at 208, right? I was like probably
Standing
like row.
on.
Yeah.
I was probably standing on the armrests. I'm almost positive I was standing on the armrests of the last row because that was just
Yeah.
for me comfortable.
Yeah. And it was just, it's hard to describe to the people that are watching right now that weren't there. It
Mm.
was like, it's like almost like you're playing the game itself. And the place
Yeah.
was loud. And everybody wanted to return the favor and make sure that Henrik Lundqvist was going to get like booed and taunted just as hard as Marty was taunted in game 5, because Marty took a lot of crap from that crowd. That game 5, and Nick Villano mentioned it, a couple times on Twitter, that because of the Henrique goal, it kind of overshadowed some of the stuff that happened in game 5 leading into game 6.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the, plays that happened that we kind of forgot about. But, that atmosphere, I would have to say, because you were there in game 4 in 95, right?
Yes, I was.
I was there game 7 in 2003.
Mm-hmm. I should
2000,
have
I
been
was
there.
at Game 5. You know, so you were there in 95. I was there in 2003. What was the atmosphere comparatively, in your opinion, that game? Because I think it's the greatest game ever played at Prudential Center. That Game
Game
6.
6. Yeah, at Prudential Center. Yeah, it's more than most definitely the best game that's been played at the Prudential Center. Um, you know, Game 4 and Game 7, in 95 and 03 were, the best games at the Meadowlands. But yeah, Game 6, that's most definitely the best game that we've had at the Prudential Center because that was a big deal. That was huge for us. That was huge for everything. Historically it was huge. For us it was huge. For that series it was huge. But yeah, we have not played a better game than that before or since the Prudential Center opened. So that's most definitely the best game at the Prudential Center.
Yeah, and don't forget, it was there was a lot of trash talk going back and forth between Devils fans and Ranger fans that night throughout the entire night. And there was one tense moment, if you remember, there were a couple Ranger fans in 209, and then it was like getting worse and worse and worse. And then I think it was Roger that started chanting bald spot because he had a bald spot. And the entire
Uh,
crowd. So, you know, sometimes the shenanigans in the crowd is actually more entertaining than the game itself. But this game
oh,
had it all.
absolutely.
It had it
Yeah, no,
all.
it
I
had it
mean,
all.
I still smile, at what we did as fans. Like it was
Hmm.
constant noise. Remember during the penalty kill, we went with the kill chance, but we went with March Madness, where we get up
Oh
like
my
it's a
God.
basketball game,
Yeah.
and it's just
Yep. Yep.
constant noise just to be annoying.
Yeah. No, that was and that's when we had that's when we had a packed section up there in 208 that everyone
Yeah,
wanted to get involved. There's a lot of positives that have unfortunately kind of waned away, if you want to put it that
yeah.
way.
That's when we
But
had our
yeah,
old goal song in full effect,
was that
like saying
the
Rangers suck, saying the
that
rain, you know, was not a
was that the year
problem.
that we did the was that the year we did the Kovalchuk Army banner behind us?
Yes, yes. Swarm it
Yeah,
up.
I have a
Remember,
picture.
swarm it up.
Swarm it up. I have a picture of us up there with that Kovalchuk banner behind us. I don't know where it is, but I printed out like an 8 by 10 version of it and it looked awesome. I have to
Yeah,
find that
that was.
picture. I'll, I'll have to find that picture.
It was one of a kind. I mean, it was a great time. It was
Yeah.
a good time,
Oh, it
and
was a great time to be a Devils fan.
yeah. So as the game went on, and I remember going into overtime, and I mean, it was the thing about. Hold on a sec.
All right.
Hold on, let me do it again. The thing about overtime, that part before overtime was, well, at least we had Game 7 if we lost, but it was going to suck.
Yeah.
It was going to suck. So we did have that safety net, whereas the Rangers didn't have a safety net. It was do or die. So the
Yeah, it
pressure
was do
was
or die
really
for
on
them.
them. And,
Hmm.
the Devils, but at the same time, the Devils had to win that game. Otherwise, Game 7 could have gone either way. Doesn't matter. Bad bounces,
Yeah.
back
And
calls, you know.
and Game 7 in a conference final back at MSG would have been like reliving '94 in a sense. It absolutely would have been reliving '94.
Yeah.
So it was you know we as much as the Rangers needed to win, we needed to win in order to really kind of put some demons to rest in a sense.
Yeah. So, Short Sky, I'm going to get our good friend Gilmore on. I don't know how to
Sure.
transition this because I got to call
No.
him. But if you can talk for a little bit and I'll mute myself
Yeah,
while I get
sure.
him on the
Yeah,
phone.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
mute
I mean, I
yourself.
don't know if you could talk. I don't know if you could talk to social media or whatever, but do your thing.
Talking is what I do for a living, Sam. So yeah, that was like Sammy and I have been mentioning that game 6. Just the fact that we're against the Rangers, Eastern Conference Finals, the winner goes to the Cup. We've against our biggest rival. It's one of those things where it was that's the type of position you want to be in order to to get to a championship. And it just the rivalry made that series even better. And the fact that we were able to, like Sammy and I have been mentioning, put that goal in past Lundqvist, deny him and the Rangers and all their fans, of which there were some there, unfortunately, deny them that chance to the Stanley Cup Finals that year, even though it was not really a Stanley Cup victory. It was still a great thing to have happen.
Typical Gilmore. He doesn't even answer his phone after he wanted to come on.
Typical. Yeah. So Sammy, it's so wild. I was gonna wait till you came back to get into it. That the only vivid memory I have from that day is only going into overtime trying to find a beer. They didn't have any beer. I had to buy a coffee, and I remember like sipping my coffee, and that goal happened so quickly into the overtime. I just like spiked a full coffee on the ground, which I'm sure was like an $8 cup of coffee, an $8 cup of $2 quick check coffee. Um, just spiked it on the on the ground in celebration because I had nothing else to do with it. I had nowhere to put it, no nothing. So down on the ground it went, and I remember we just piled on top of each other in the section. It was wild. It was just
Yeah.
there have been a couple
It,
times where I've been in situations like that, and that's absolutely one of the top ones.
great night overall.
Hmm.
Who would ever thought that from there it went downhill like it did?
I
But at
know.
least it was like Brodeur's last gasp, last stand.
Yeah.
He got the better end of it. Tremendous career for Marty Brodeur, but it would have been nice to beat LA in the finals, but they were just rolling
It
over
would have.
teams. They just got hot at the right time. But had they won that game 6, I think the Devils would have won game 7.
Yeah.
But
It it would have. It definitely would have been great to win the cup. Obviously. Especially because we all would have been there. I think that would have been the first time that all of us would have been there together as the crew we turned into, which would have been wild.
yeah,
Um, but that was I froze again. It was almost like the emotions of that win, getting to the being in the finals after that was almost I don't want to say a letdown, but at least a minimum of a slight emotional letdown to be in the
I don't
finals
know. I,
after winning that style against the Rangers.
I don't know if karma is just biting us because we called around all the bars to find out when game 7 was around New York
Yeah,
City, around Madison
so that's
Square Garden.
all right. So let's get into that. So the backstory for everyone to know is my family used to have a pretty wild Memorial Day party every year on the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend. So game 6, excuse me, was on Saturday.
Friday. No, it was Friday.
It was
It was a
I
Friday.
thought it
I think
was
it was a
Saturday.
no because
I thought
Brewer's
it
show
was
was always Friday. It was always Friday.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
So then we're at my house for Memorial Day, and that day they happened to have for the Memorial Day party. We were at my house on Sunday. Um, we wound up calling everywhere outside of MSG, asking when Game 7 was going to be, asking the
The
bars when
game
they were
7
opening
viewing
for Game
party. If they're gonna
7,
have a viewing party,
asking when the bars were opening for Game 7. We left countless messages. The MSG ticket office. You guys selling tickets for Game 7 yet? Uh, Man, and
is game 9
obviously
gonna
we
be
were.
around?
It goes without saying that we were having some beverages while doing this. But I don't
Yeah.
know if you remember this, Sammy, but that game was on repeat all day long. Game
Yeah.
6 was on a constant repeat all day long, and every time it went to overtime, we all ran into the house celebrated that goal like it just happened, and then we went
Yeah.
outside and we had more beer and we made some more calls. It was wild. That's all we did on that Sunday.
Yeah. It was one of those the aftermath moments. You had that smile on your face that won't go away.
Mm-hmm.
The day after and the days after that. I remember. I'm just going to compare how great that day was. I remember the day after we beat the Anaheim Ducks, or were they Mighty Ducks? I think they were the Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah, they were just the Ducks.
When we beat the Ducks in 2003, and listening the entire day from 6 a.m. to like midnight the next day of New York sports talk radio, and all they talked about was Lou Lamoriello and the New Jersey Devils. Because it's not just 1, 2, but 3 cups in 9 years.
Yep.
And I remember like all these Ranger pundits were all calling in and be like, I hate to say it, but they're almost a dynasty. What have we accomplished? 94 was big, but, and then you had Joe Beningo, CCC Sports, but they don't have any fans. You can get a Stanley Cup ticket, Game 2, 2000, it was a disaster, that kind of thing. And
that's all I heard. I forget which year, but one of the years that the Devils and the Rangers played in the playoffs, I think we swept them that year. And I had a good friend of mine had season tickets for the Rangers, and I went with him to the Devils Rangers playoff games at MSG. I went to one of the games. I went to a show the other game, but one of the games I went to.
You went to game 4, right?
Yes. Yeah, I went to game 4 of that series. And all I heard from the Ranger fans was, I can't wait till you make the finals so I can walk up to the door and buy a ticket. And I just looked at them like, all right, well, okay. Thank you for spending your hard-earned dollars with my team. Thank you. Like, what do you want from me?
That's all they had.
That's
all they had in 2006.
Oh, that's all they had.
When the Devils swept them. When Ken Klee outscored Yager 1-0 in that series. That's all you needed to know.
Oh my God.
Oh,
that's right. That was
we got to find
Klee Seattle.
We got to find Ken Klee. We got to get him on. One of these days we're gonna here on the Woo Report. We're gonna have like obscure Devils come on as guests.
That would be a great segment. Obscure Devil interviews.
yeah. Ken Klee. Well, want to thank all those watching, and also I want to give away something. I'm going to pick somebody random.
All right.
I'm going to pick somebody random. I'm not going to look. I'm going to scroll. Pick somebody random. You're going to win something.
That's right. When you listen to a
Jason
Report or Let's Go Devils podcast, you win prizes.
Jason McCloskey in the Facebook Live. If you're still there, you get a free Let's Go Devils podcast bumper sticker, courtesy of the Let's Go Devils podcast. So if you're listening out there, message me. You'll find me. Just find us on social media at Let's Go Devils podcast on Facebook, at Let's Go Devils pod on Twitter, the Let's Go Devils channel on YouTube. Find me. You just won a Let's Go Devils podcast bumper sticker, and
I don't even have one yet.
And just a little side note. This podcast, which started on I think October 23rd, on October 23rd in 2017, our maiden voyage, is about to hit 300,000 downloads.
Yeah.
By midnight tonight.
That's wild.
300,000. Did over 100,000 in less than 6 months. Past 6 months.
That's crazy.
And we're still going strong. We're still doing podcasts.
Oh, yeah, totally.
During an off season when the team sucks. So, Joey Giardina, you need one. We'll keep it here. We're going to start giving away stuff. You know, I'm already looking at private jets for real. You know, they have like this Uber of private jets. And I was looking at that company. I was like, yeah, that would be kind of cool if we ever did that.
That would be very rad.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. But, Shorts Guy, thank you for making time. And
You're
we
welcome.
wanted to just, you know, give that moment its due because I don't know what happened over there and at the Prudential Center.
They're forgetting their history. They're forgetting to acknowledge their history.
Yeah.
You always have to acknowledge your history, Sam. No matter what, you have to acknowledge your history.
Yeah, you can't move forward without connecting the dots of the past. I think that's correct. That's how the saying goes.
That's fine.
All right, I want to thank all those listening in, dropping the podcast at midnight. If you don't see us, have an enjoyable Memorial Day weekend here in the U.S.
Absolutely.
Well, this is the Woo Report. Till next time, let's go Devils.